Dobrý den, dámy a pánové. U první debaty roku 2023 vás vítá zakladatel platformy Alter Eco, globální strateg Roman Chlupatý. Mým dnešním hostem je Lu AiFeng, konzultantka poradenské společnosti Alternative Perspectives, specializující se na Čínu a okolí. AiFeng se právě vrátila z více než dvouměsíčního pobytu v Číně, kde mimo jiné na vlastní kůži zažila drakonická protikovidová opatření a také jejich náhlé zrušení. Co se dá i v důsledku tohoto kroku očekávat od čínské ekonomiky v příštích několika měsících, i co to znamená v delším, řekněme, systémovém výhledu, o tom s ní budu mluvit právě teď. AiFeng, hello and welcome.
Thanks, Roman. Thanks for having me. And it is my experiences because recently I went back to China and because my mom's in a healthy issues, I have real experiences. People first beginning when people heard that it's an end this COVID, people excited. So long to waiting for a long time to really. So that is very happy. That is a very good side. And because if you look at the 3 years that passed, so many different levels, lockdowns, restrict your travel, even though domestic, many people, families haven't been seeing each other, and even though in the same cities, next street maybe. So that is very, very hard to many families in China. So people can't wait it. You don't need to do any PCR tests every day. It's very, very comfortable. I think people would like to very welcome that. My experiences just at the end of the COVID, I experienced different levels, lockdowns, central lockdowns, home quarantines, and different isolations. And it took me 15 days from UK back to China and then see my family. And then I was able to go out, walk and freely. It's 19 days. That's extraordinary. It's for a modern age now. It's the travel. So you can feel, I certainly for myself, whether mentally, physically is really, really stressful and exhausting. So you can understand people how excited when it ended. And that's a very short time, unfortunately. And when it opened, people will expect it and all the business will be back to normal straight away, but it's not. Very, very quiet for at least 3 weeks. The cities I am in, Shenzhen is the first tier cities, similar like Guangzhou and the capital Beijing and Shanghai. Their first tier city being hit by COVID. Everyone stay at home and being sick or lie in bed or just fear to go out. So that makes the whole economy nothing to almost look like a pause for a few weeks. So that is make me feel what economies suffered. So from some of the figures we say just for PCR tests for China, it will already cost the China 1.5 trillions. So and also only 2 weeks lockdown, for example, in Shanghai, this capital city, one of the economy centers in China. If 2 weeks, already 100 billions. So it's not affordable to carry on, which is the presidencies and all their media is too costly to China. So you need to end it. But unfortunately, it ended too fast and then haven't have enough preparation for the public. And then the new slogan to the people is, you are the ones priority respond to our own health. So it's a shift from the government look after you to now you look after yourself.
Taking this into account, there has been a lot of speculation how likely it is that there will be yet another closure of the Chinese economy, or rather systemically important nodes such as ports and financially important cities due to COVID, due to the pandemic, due to the fact that there is a lot of new cases of people getting sick, seriously sick. Given what we know at the moment, how likely would you say is that? Meaning that after a short period of time of relative freedom in a sense of economic freedom, there will be yet another closure with all the impact on global markets, global economies, supply chains, and so on and so forth, stuff that we witnessed in the course of the past 2.5, 3 years.
It's big concerns, but to me, it's big optimistic. It won't have any lockdown. It won't happen wherever the countries, cities, and different levels and administrations. I can't see it will have any lockdown. But of course, there's chaos, and then many, especially like in hospitals now, or many elderly or really with the long terms and the medical conditions and the patients and the being the suffering. That isn't the truth. So it looks like that is the majority is already overcomes it. So it is very upset to see some of the people leaving you. But I think that is now a bit more and more confident, the central government, to face the reality, accept that realities. That in New Year's speech, presidencies on the said that is we need to unite it and then centralize all the resources. We'll overcome this. So I can't see it will have any strategies and decisions will close. So I think that will be, to me, is positive.
To what extent would you say that the abrupt decision to actually scrap the zero COVID policy signals maybe a disagreement in the political leadership that might extend beyond the COVID or health issues? And if yes, if that is the case, which areas would you suggest to follow where the disagreement, in other words, can be seen or expected?
I think certainly from directly change the policy from the top government. I can see, and also people could understand it, we will have a disagreement on top government. And then if you still record a couple months, and we have a National Congress, which is in the presidency's speech, so very clear the zero COVID policies will continue and then enhance. So that is very clear to the public. But after just about over a month, that things changes, and I don't say it completely, but it's a significant turn. So that I think he may make a compromise and then face the realities. So I don't think it will change the leadership or impact to the frighten to the leader, but you certainly have some kind of compromise within that, and you can see the actually recently the activities, presidency is still in the positions very firmly. So I feel there is quite certain to see that. But of course, that is one of things, and we need to see the presidencies and the diplomatic policies is changing. And then recently in his new cabinet, he promoted as a new member, which is Wang Yi, from the prime ministers and foreign affairs ministers to a committee member. So that is, you can see he's put up diplomatic as key strategies in his new term. So economies will be in his general plans, may not be its importance may not be as so many things he wants to do, or his priorities or importance as before, but certainly he's making compromise now as an economy is also crucial to the country. So the directions of new Congress and Congress and the meetings won't change, is but slightly adjusted with this can see.
Tak to byl popis stávající situace a očekávaného vývoje v Číně v příštích několika měsících. Ve druhé části Alter Ego se zaměříme na to, co to znamená pro ekonomiku Číny v delším výhledu a řekněme v systémovém pojetí. Sledujete Alter Eco. Ve druhé části dnešního dílu, lednového dílu, se zaměříme na čínskou ekonomiku v delším výhledu a v globálním pojetí či měřítku. AiFeng, taking what you said in the first part of today's debate into account, meaning that there will be some slight adjustments to the announced policies, what does it mean in particular for Chinese industrial or economic policy? And that's how let's look at the potential global impact. Are there any significant changes to be expected in this sense? Priorities, timing, and so on and so forth.
I think that is the general directions and then the plans and it won't change. This is according to the last Congress and conference. It's very, very firm within the government plan. As a slightly change, it will be like on the diplomatic level, and then I think they will have that because there's no war and worries, that kind of diplomatic image to the rest of the world, which is a really negative impact to Chinese relationship with many other countries. So it caused isolations to the rest of many countries, especially the key economies in the countries. So I think that will be a slightly change. It will make it a bit more friendly, and the purpose is try to warming up with the West, with US. So, but the key things is have to support the One Belt One Road to go out, and also create new platforms for China. For example, it's just a new presidency went to visit Gulf countries and in Saudi Arabia. So that is all try to create new areas, new eras, new relationships with China. So we understand it is highly competitive, and we treat American as the competitor. So it's so many conflicts between China and America, and in between Europe is one of that, because the tight in the militaries and others relationships with Americans. So in between China and Europe is the relationship getting to the lower levels for many years. So I think that will be have priorities for the new terms government to have change the relationship internationally and find out new ways go out. And for example, after visit so many Arab countries, and also another central government enhanced the regions, South and Pacific. They have new agreements and comprehensive agreements and with the regions. So many countries are included from Asia and Australia and Japan, all the whole areas. It's not Europe, not America. So they try to create new areas, new corporations. So find out a way, rebuild an economy, and also export the productivity, which is China's and exceeds. So we need to try to make it a balance. So that is it will change. I'm sure it will change. Have the new policies and impact to the economy sectors will be export for sure. Another thing is the key things, and China is on the state capital companies. So we in China and state capital companies, state-owned companies will be less than 100, but of course different top level to the city levels. But they are the key, the frameworks of China's economy. So they cover the natural resources, cover telecoms, and covers all militaries, and covers all the heavy industry. So all the key economies being covered, holding by state capitals. So that is if go out, they will take in all these big companies and state-own capitals and export to another country.
Last year, there was a government clampdown on some of the big technological firms, and Western investors did read this as policy more and more driving economy, even in the sector that was historically fairly free to do not whatever they want or it wanted, but to actually develop new things, come with inventions, trade with the West, be listed on Western stock markets, and so on and so forth. Now it seems, it's the signals that are coming in the course of the past or have been coming in the past couple of weeks vis-a-vis Ant Financial, Alibaba in more general terms, and a couple of other companies, that things are again changing slightly. Your take on the subject matter, is it as such, or is it something that we don't essentially see here in the West?
It is a big it's a big we call it as negative to Chinese image, because Alibaba and Ant Group is at that time it was the biggest IPO projects in the world. So it's not only domestic investors, overseas investments, which is analyzed on these projects. But I understand it is the situations improving, and then I gathered from the old report analysis is on that project is reforming and restructures is nearly the end of this project. I'm expecting will be continues as their plans now very soon. But one thing I would like to put on discuss and share my views, and which is very different to Westerns or publics, and which is look at the Ant Group. Ant Groups looks we building up the image is like a very high tech, and but this is owned actual business is finance business, and then acting like a retail banks in high street, and then doing that, and the key business and the core business is an investment bank, but not in the high streets, and not like another and a big bank in Wall Street, but they are online. And they may use on a technology create this business model, but their business is actually is a finance business, investment bank business. So China put this into another category. So that will completely different. Have a series of different regulations for that. So you've been knocked down by the high tech, people say, but actually it's in the financial regulations put it down. So, and also have another, you look at that from the application paper, and Jack Ma's we claim themselves and only 5% control or shares control. But actually through the investigations past 2-3 years, and then actually he's over 50%. So that is way after many people, and then not the realities. Maybe invest, maybe we call it fraud. So it needed to see the actuals, what happened. Of course, the capitals come from their mother company, Alibaba, but Alibaba's now is we call it as a platform, trading platform. Is so many competitors now in this business. Same like they already from their 2021 annual report, and from their real technical part of income, from the cloud and also the mapping, it's less than 10%. So from this perspective, even though Alibaba is not high-tech company, maybe we use another subject as another for reference, like Tesla. Tesla used first beginning it was in the high-tech, but at the end now he's in the Tesla is an automobiles company. It's a making car, selling car. So it's for the past years the concept changing, and actually the core business we say that is a finance company. So in the finance sector, it's China's highly regulated sector. So it won't fight and will end being the pullback. So, but then the signals come out. They will hope that they will have come out to the market, and I do wish them good luck.
Just out of curiosity, you mentioned financial sector, which is regulated heavily, not only in China, of course. It is something that is being heavily regulated essentially everywhere. On one hand, there's a heavy-handed regulation, let's say. On the other hand, China's financial sector is actually opening up to, for instance, American firms. In this sense, regulation is relaxing. What is the next step? What do you expect in the finance sector in China to happen, and how interesting is it going to be for the Westerners, for the firms, investors, and so on?
I believe it will more open. I believe so. And then it is in a highly controlled sectors, and also they will have um, some new serious and new regulations and every year. But the new directions, which very open to investment, and they come out and even those we have called the qualification investment and agreements, which allow you to all investors from foreign overseas funds have unlimited invest to China, and also then they will have directly foreign investment to be open as well. So that is a signal international have a two way welcome investment to China, and them helping to their own technology company or another company to go out, which is allow them have a corporations with outside outside, and then with foreign overseas capital. I think that is a two way to look at that. Open definitely, and then more integrate.
Ve druhé části Alter Ego jsme se zaměřili na tektonické pohyby, které vyplývají z nedávného rozhodnutí čínské vlády zrušit politiku nulové tolerance vůči covidu a obecněji vyplývající ze signálů, které v poslední době z Pekingu a okolí přicházejí. Ve třetí části se podíváme na to, co to znamená pro biznis, a to zejména evropský, středoevropský a konkrétně český. Ve třetí části Alter Ego se zaměříme na to, co lze čekat z pohledu biznesu, zejména evropského, v Číně v následujících měsících, možná blízkých letech, a jaké příležitosti a také rizika jsou s tím spjata. As we discussed throughout this interview, China has been to a very large extent locked for 3 years. It was behind the so-called wall for many international businesses. So if I ask you at the very beginning of this section, how does China differ? If I went to China as a business person or was doing business with China 3 years ago and I would go now, would there be any significant change? Something I should be aware of?
I think the differences, the biggest differences is the atmosphere is different, because people's being exhausted, and then lack of confidence, and then that is driven people's is economy slow down as well. So I would say it takes. I do hope so. I do hope so. It won't take too long. But the whole atmosphere is really low, and it including is not only the Chinese people and the foreigners as well. So we build confidence to China's economy, to the leadership, to the authorities. It's not overnight. It takes time to do that. So we have a very, for example, we can see so many policies come out, but need to try, and then takes time to recover from this exhaustion, long-term exhaustion. And now, from this month, China opens and issues more visas, welcomes overseas come to China. So that is a great step. Welcome, open the door again, welcome people, and people come in, and hopefully, and then capital will come in. So that is gradually trending. I hope that they won't take too long, but it is need to give people some time to recover from this very, very down 3 years.
Does it mean that, for instance, European businesses will be, let's say, more welcomed? Is it an opportunity, this, interest in normalcy in life, if you will, in open borders, in interacting with not only tourists but also business people from all around the world. Would you say that is the case, that now it is probably more likely to happen, meaning business with China, than 3 years ago when everybody wanted to be in China and maybe the Chinese were a bit, fed up, let's say, in layman's terms, or generally overwhelmed with the interest. And of course, with that comes a certain attitude.
I think that ASML, in general, they will welcome. They will welcome and especially Europe, which is have a very long and friendly friendships, good friendship to the Europe. They will welcome that. And also the being you have to realize that after 3 years and the business holding back, one of my friends running a factory and making high qualities and cashmere, and then that's what he said, and everything's so costly, and then the inflation and everything, and then each orders she make and she ship, we will lose her money. So that is in the situation. She would like to wait. She would like to wait. So now is the whole system, the whole country, the whole economy is gradually is smooth coming back, and then I'm sure if any order she will happy to take. So that is look at the financial term as well. So whether it's worth it to continue. Of course, I think for the foreign investment, they will welcome to do that. They welcome that China's desperate need investment, and so many people unemployed, like a new graduates the past 2 years, and it's millions. So that is definitely not only the state-owned capital can save them. It's the need to rely on private sector, foreign investment, and all other sectors and to feed the people, to provide jobs to that a new graduate student. So it's 18% unemployed from new graduates. It's a fabulous number. So I believe so. If you find out the right sector, right business, right sector, I believe I think there will be a good direction.
So where do you see the biggest, most interesting opportunities at the moment? And I'm talking again about European business and potential deals being done in China.
I think traditionally, the tradings between China and Europe is in a few sectors traditionally. Good quality food, and then pharmaceuticals, medicine, and biotechnology, and another high level machinery. And of course now it's a green fields and a green energy, and also traditional finance as well. So finance and investment. So that is traditionally between the trading between China and Europe. So after COVID, I think the pharmaceutical is the hit, and then Medicare and the long-term well-being, it will be another hit as well. So it's still there after the still opportunity. I think then there will be welcome friendly Europe.
How about automotive? And of course, I'm asking not only, but because we are in the Czech Republic, we are going to broadcast this debate in the Czech Republic because of ŠKODA. First, a huge success, very interesting vis-a-vis numbers, sales, as well as recognition of the brand in China. And now there's a lot of speculation about quitting the Chinese branch, if you will, or activities in more general terms, completely. So what's your reading? Of course, you have a long history of working for the top both Chinese and international automotive brands. So you are indeed an insider. What happened there and how to avoid it? What is the lesson learned for potential other companies that are involved with automotive or related sectors?
Yeah, I understand that the Skoda is the Czechs brand in Czech people brand. I understand. It, unfortunately, in China, in the recent years, it's not very good performance. And maybe it's a perspective reported, and then we will withdraw from China in 2023. So that is very sad to see. Indeed, it passed now 15 years. Skoda had its own highlight time. It was very successful as a brand from within Volkswagen. So very impressive performance. But unfortunately, it's to especially up during the COVID, the sales different levels of lockdown, the sales dropped down significantly, the lowest point. So I would say this is one of the victims from lockdowns business. The key things to me is the long run key things is the positions. Skoda couldn't find out its own corporate position in China market. One of the reasons is come from very strong competitions in China. Their own brands, the own Chinese own brands, domestic own brands, new brands, so come out so far. And then wherever the design, then they're all technologies, they all come out and changing very fast. So especially recent years, new technologies, electric car, or it becomes the key players in the market. So Skoda still remains in the old petrols and the engine. So it is not strong enough compared to local. This is uh, very disappointed to so many lovers and so many people and loved and technologies and chemicals and whatever Skodas in China. So that is technology change is you must catch up faster. I understand that it's part of Volkswagen's a big family. It's down to many. It's down to Volkswagen's decision. But it will be something that Skoda is owned. They need to do something, change that, and then they find out their own identity. So I think that is some big questions to themselves. Competitions never end, but you need to find out your position, catch up the technology, and that find out the right we could right niche to the market.
What would be the one, two, three tops criterion you would recommend foreign companies to focus on to succeed? What are the things that Chinese business people, partners, potential partners, and customers value?
I think that it's enough for automobiles, for example, is very long term building up the relationships with China. So from the first beginnings, Volkswagen one of those, and not as well. Volkswagen spent years building up the foundations in China, even though they have a highly restricted policies. For example, only 50% and the highest and the capital and the shares in the corporation, joint corporation. So it it has been taking a long time and a very high cost to build up the market. That's for sure. So to my recommended is the government's entry levels is a requirement here. So you need to put into the as a part of your cost. And then in terms of and you have to work with the local government very well. Volkswagen work with Shanghai very well. Tesla, another example, work with local government, Shanghai government very well. And then during the peaks of the pandemic, Tesla only spent 12 months set up a mega factory in Shanghai and make cars, started production. So despite so many conflicts, so heavy different kind of conflicts between China and America, still magic happened. So within 12 months, things will happen. And now all most of we call it Teslas it's turning to we can expect it profit, and also then 1/3 of Tesla cars are export. So it things still could happen. It's different strategies, and then you have to bit longer term to look at how to work, and then your own value as well. So it's very difficult. I understand it's not easy, but we have a very successful example here.
Tak to bylo lednové alter ego, ve kterém jsme se zaměřili na otevírání čínské ekonomiky v kontextu. Mým hostem byla Lu AiFeng, konzultantka poradenské společnosti Alternative Perspectives, kde se soustředí na Čínu a její okolí. I za ní se loučí a vše dobré přeje zakladatel diskuzní platformy Alter Ego, globální strateg Roman Chlupatý. AiFeng, thank you very much. Have a good day.
My pleasure. Thank you.